And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unapologetic Tea Time with your host, PG. That is me. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for all who are tuning in and to all who may tune in at a later time. Thank you, thank you. Um, as you can see, today's show is going to be about um, what everyone else is talking about. Um, and that is the Oscar slap. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Now, a lot of us, hey Aaron, good evening. How are you? Glad to see you're here. This is going to be a bit of a short show. Um, I'm just on basically to give my version and my take on what happened at the Oscars and I guess how it got to that point. And I'm not going to leave myself out of the equation because I self I suffer from mental illness and I have a health issue that's um, pretty serious, uh, you know, and I've been dealing with it not so much out loud, but kind of internally, and of course, going to the doctors and having various tests run. And late spring, I will be getting a second opinion um, because this is pretty serious, a matter of life and death. So, with that being said, I'm not going to dwell on things because God is a healer all the time and He is an awesome God. And that I know I can testify to that. So, without getting into my problems and my issues, um, I'm going to move on into what today's show is all about. And that is the Oscar slap and my take on it. I had a couple text messages come in and wasn't really doing anything today. Today was kind of a humdrum day for me. I was really struggling. But I was thinking about, um, I fell asleep on the Oscars. I guess I fell asleep on before the best part took place last night. So I didn't really see it. I woke up this morning to uh, finding out that Will Smith had walked up on the stage and, hey, Miss Monique, glad to see you. Could tune in this evening. It's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. But I actually woke up to finding out that Will Smith had walked himself up on the stage and put his hands on Chris Rock, which I thought um, was a pretty sad moment. I was looking at the videos. I was really in a state of shock. I really was speechless, and it's it's not often that the PG is speechless, but I felt really bad for the black entertainment industry and the black entertainers and actors and comedians and the whole nine as an establishment. You in the middle of company and you do something like that and you embarrass everybody and you go up there and we've got enough going on in the world, period. Besides some black on black um confrontational kind of sort of at a international televised event. Now, the reason I chose A Mind in Turmoil is because this incident that occurred from what I can see and from what I gather, and after having read Will Smith's um, autobiography, um, it seems that when he talked about his book, in his book, he spoke about being a coward and not being able to protect his mother, I guess you could say, from his father, who was an abuser. Perhaps, more so than he shared in the book, but he seems, it seemed to me from what I gather, or what I garnered reading his book from cover to cover, was that he all of the years faulted or has faulted himself, even with all of the accolades, with all of the awards, with all of the fortune and fame, he still somehow felt inadequate. And I think it's unfortunate that a lot of people, and I'm going to say Will Smith and their other actors, their other candlestick makers, lawyers, bakers, chefs, you name it, actors, comedians, um, rappers, you name it, really need to get themselves into therapy and do the work that it takes in order to um, find yourself and put an end to so much turmoil within your mind. Because when your mind is in turmoil, these are some of the things that can manifest and become a reality in your life. You can be the best of the best. You can be a millionaire, billionaire, and then you're front and center stage, and you something clicks and tells you in your head because a comedian, another black person, whether it was been black or white, I guess it would have been much worse had he been of another ethnicity, but tells a joke. And we all know that the Oscars normally has a comedian or someone who is known to be able to roast the audience, fellow actors and actresses and what have you, or someone who is able to um, carry the audience, but yet let it be kind of lighthearted, but at the same time crack a lot of jokes and ease the mind of the audience and kind of read the audience and move it forward, yet laughing and jokingly and having a good time at the audience's expense, kind of, sort of, but not to the way that it was way over the top on last evening. But I say that Will Smith's mind is in turmoil is because, one, I think that this goes back to what I was saying at first, was I think that this has to do with his upbringing and his um the way that he saw his mother and his father get along, and he not being able to perhaps intervene or make it better, or maybe to protect his mother. So he decided to protect his wife on this particular occasion, who was being, I guess, the butt of a joke. But I think it the joke really wasn't intended to be so hurtful. I think it was just in good nature, and as any comedians. I've said in audiences and have been to quite a number of huge events where the international press is there and what have you over the years in my life, where people kind of made fun and they took it on the chin, or brushed it off their shoulder. It was just a joke. And when you are a comedian or an actor or a rapper or whatever, and you live in the limelight, You are always going to be butts of jokes, perhaps. You're always going to be talked about, read about. Paparazzi and whom else or ever is going to be on you like white on rice. Any little thing you could sneeze and they'll turn that into a meme. You can be walking down the street and um, suddenly stop to tie your shoes. And they may turn that into something as though you tripped and fell because you were inebriated. Anything. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, or child these days. It's fair game for everybody. But I think this man himself, being in his 50s now, hasn't done the work that needs to be done to relieve himself from all of the things that is bottled up in that head. He's a great um, actor. Um, he seems to be genuine in the things that he does. And I am talking about Will Smith, yes. But at the same time, my opinion is he hasn't done the work. And I think he needs to do the work because when you don't do the work, these are the things that happen, especially in the black community. Another one that I can lay focus on would be Kanye West. Brilliant director, musician, composer, writer, needs to do some work. Doesn't think he's probably mentally ill, perhaps. Won't take his medicine. Does all of these things. And then look what it cost him his wife that he loved. I think he truly loved Kim Kardashian. I don't know that Kim was, a good fit for him, but that's who he chose. And irregardless to how we as citizens seem to think who's good or who's bad for somebody else. Hey, Tim, how are you? Glad to see that you could join me. Um, it doesn't matter who that person chooses, just like Will chose Jada. Um, but he needs to do the work. He needs to get fast into therapy. While his wife has the red table, um, or whatever the hell it's called, I think that she needs to hire, or they need to hire a family therapist and really get themselves into some type of therapy because that man walked himself up on that stage and palm slapped. But this was a Hollywood kind of stunt. And thank God that when he hit Chris Rock, it was, I guess, the fingertips, maybe half of the fingers actually touched Will Smith, Chris Rock's face. It wasn't the palm part of the hand, or it would have probably knocked him down onto the stage, and that's bad. But this is what happened when you don't deal with mental illness. Um, and it can strike anyone. We all have some excess baggage that maybe we've carried perhaps from your childhood into adulthood. And then when you don't deal with it, it will come back. You will see this shit again and again and again until you do something with it. Prime example, last night during the Oscars. Hey, Chris, glad to see you. I'm okay. I hope you're well too. The children and your old lady. I hope everybody is doing good. Thank you for tuning in. But when you don't deal with your mental illness or you don't deal with the issues at hand, these are the things that happen. Now, had this been perhaps a teeny bopper on that stage that wasn't well seasoned like Chris Rock, and Chris Rock actually kept his composure, this could have been a fucking brawl at the Oscars. It could have, I mean, literally going to Knuckle City. Me, myself, I take my medication every day. I don't know that I could have stood there and let someone slap me in the face in the middle of me emceeing a show, turning around and just like a pro, as though it never happened, said a few words, and then never missed a beat and kept going. I give Chris Rock kudos for keeping his composure. But I'm sorry, Will, you were wrong. You were dead wrong on that one. You know, the professional thing and the politically correct thing to do would have been exit your seat if you just couldn't wait. Exit your seat. Go to either the left or the right behind the stage to the press room and ask, hey, which way is the MC going to be? Which way is the host going to come out, left or to the right? And be back there waiting. Because there are moments when there's a break or intermission and then they come back. And you, at that point, if you got something to say, then you get on that ass. Yes, indeed. And if you wanted to slap him, go, y'all. There are rooms behind that stage. Going, hey man, can I talk to you for a minute? Man to man or whatever. Can I holler at you for a minute? And I'm more than sure, probably, this could have been different. But now you done aired out your nasty, dirty ass laundry for everybody in the world to see, internationally and in the US to see this. You know, we have young people that look up to Will Smith. We have people my age, you know, and older, and like I say, and young people. If this is a leader of today, how can you be a leader teaching young men to do things and you say you were defending your wife's honor or defending your wife? You can't. Because there's a time and a place for everything. But when you have some deep-seated, deep-rooted mental issues, and I'm not saying when I call them mental, you're not crazy. That's not what I'm saying. You're not insane. But when you have these issues that you don't address, and you got enough money to buy the best of the best therapy, and you are in and out of it, and when you have your entanglements and you air that out and you do this and you do that, you know, when Jada Smith boycotted, I remember some years back, I think it was 2016, 2015, don't quote me on the exact date, she was boycotting the Oscars that year. Chris Rock was the MC that year. And I remember him saying something about, oh, yeah, Jada boycotting the Oscars. That's like me turning down a pair of Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited, you know, or whatever. Who would turn down, you know, Rihanna's underwear or something crazy? So I don't know if that was the right time that Will Smith thought in his mind that it was the right time or the right place to do what he did, but it was wrong. And when you had these people, then you get an Oscar. But see, let me tell y'all something. See, you can get so high and mighty, but then the devil is always busy. See, he will let you hang yourself. Turn around, he'll give it to you, then turn around and take it back. How many gold medals have been handed back? How many Oscars and SAG awards and all kind of crazy been taken back? See, there's a lot that goes into this that people aren't seeing. You know, there was a lady that texted me and said, I think he was right. He should have slapped the shit out. No, I don't condone violence just because. What is that saying? What is that teach? You have young people, you have people that is trying to produce and stuff that are young and up and coming. What are you telling them? What message are you sending them? That you got to fight, you got to lay hands on people every time you don't agree with something? You know? You see, people are missing some things because, see, Will Smith laughed at the joke. He laughed at the joke. But it was when he turned and looked at Jada and she looked at him with displeasure on her face. That's when he got himself up out of that chair and walked up on that stage and hit that man. Now, where I'm from, maybe he knew that Chris Rock wasn't going to do him anything per se. Because where I'm from, we'd have tore it up. All the curtains would have been in shreds. The chairs would have been broke. They'd have took back the Oscar before they gave me that motherfucker. They'd have took it back. Because, I mean, talking about clear the aisle, fuck clear the aisle. They'd have had a permanent intermission is what would have happened. But I admire Chris Rock for what he did. But the next thing that I want to touch on is this man gets up, accepts his Oscar, and apologizes to everybody in that fucking venue, the Academy, his fellow nominees, and you don't apologize to Chris Rock. I think that is so distasteful, and it looked bad. It looked bad on Will Smith. It just did. Yeah, it looked bad. One, being a black actor. Two, knowing you were wrong. You didn't even give the man a chance to rectify the situation if you so thought that he wronged your wife in such a way. Because I'm more than sure if he would have gone to the side, left or the right, and back of that stage, and when it was time for the intermission or the break, and Chris Rock would have walked and he would say, "Hey man, I want to talk to you," I'm more than sure Chris Rock would have brought his ass right on back out after the break was over or the intermission was over, and he'd have straightened that right on back out. Perhaps Chris Rock didn't know she was suffering from, or she suffers from alopecia. Okay? Yeah, it's an autoimmune disease. It sure is. But it's not one that, like I'm facing myself, something that will put you 6 feet under, perhaps, if it turns into myeloma. Right now, it's the precursor to myeloma, what I have. I'm like, well, shit, did nothing happen. Maybe I should slap the shit out of people, just walk up to them and slap the living taste out of their mouth and see where that lands me. In fucking jail or dead. You walk up and you slap a grown man and you turn your back and walk away. See, I'm going to leave that right there. That's my part. That's my take. He was wrong. He was wrong, and he needs to apologize publicly to Chris Rock. It was a joke. Sometimes we don't like jokes, but it's the nature of the game. And like I said, sometimes you have to take it on the chin. Now, if he was saying all of these nasty things about his wife, he didn't one time talk about the entanglement. He did not one time talk about, the cheating scandal or the this or the that. He didn't say that. He just basically said some bullshit about G.I. Jane or whoever, Saving Private Ryan, somebody with Demi Moore when she shaved her head to play the character in the movie that she was playing in. But he said, "But I love you though," first, and then he said what he said. Now, I'm sorry, but Will Smith was wrong on this one. I wanna say something. I'm gonna bring this to the forefront because I've been battling, for the last few months, with my mental illness because of the diagnosis that I was handed down, and how I'm gonna go about, trying to, do what I can to stay as healthy as possible, for as long as I can and for as long as God is willing, because God is a healer all the time. But there's a quote by Dallas Willard. I think his last name is Willard, but I often remember having read this. Thank you, thank you. Um, and it goes something like this: is if we allow everything, if we allow everything access to our minds, we are simply asking to be kept in a state of mental turmoil or bondage. For nothing enters the mind without having an effect for good or evil. Y'all didn't hear that. I'm going to tell it to you again. If we allow everything to access our minds, we're simply asking to be kept in a state of mental turmoil or bondage. For nothing enters the mind without having an effect for good or evil. And I think that Will Smith has allowed all of the things in the last couple of years, besides the childhood, moving all that in, to access his mind. And now that mind of his, no matter how good and brilliant it may be, he is now it's a turmoil situation for him. And without getting the proper help and doing the work, and it takes years. Sometimes it may take a lifetime in your adult years to continue to do the work, to keep yourself healthy, to keep your mind healthy and strong as it can be. But a lot of us, unfortunately, and I'm talking to my brothers and sisters, my melanated brothers and sisters, we won't go. We won't do the work. We won't go to therapy. We won't seek counseling. We won't talk to a professional about the things that are bothering us. And it turns out bad. Sometimes failed marriages, failed relationships, broken relationships, unable to talk to your children, bad relations with your children, bad relations with your siblings, in and out of, relationships, all kinds of stuff that you wonder why the cycle that it keeps happening. You know, if you grew up in a household and there was an abuser, or from domestic violence, and sooner or later you become a product of that. For instance, Will Smith perhaps seeing his daddy abuse his mother. Perhaps he's verbally abusive. Who knows? I know he's physically abusive to people. That's not the first time he's put his hands on someone. And it probably will not be the last until he gets himself the help that he needs and does the work and puts in the work. You know, things keep repeating itself. You know, you find domestic abusers and children who come out of households where there was a lot of bickering and arguing and fussing and cussing and verbal and physical abuse. They either are aggressors and become an abuser themselves, or they grow up thinking that it's okay to be abused because they are not worthy of someone treating them with kindness and respect, you know. So do the work, get yourself the necessary help that you need so that you don't continue to let filth and nastiness access our minds and take over our minds, and all we can spew out on the other end or the other side is evilness. Everything is not for everybody, and everything is not for us to absorb in our minds. Sometimes we have to close our minds like we have to close our hearts to some things. When we say tough love, sometimes we just have to let things go and say, not today. No, I'm not dealing with that. That's crazy. No, that's insane. No, that's negativity. I'm not going to do negativity today. I'm not going to do it tomorrow. And when you stop letting things filter in through, then you're better off. You know, I was sitting earlier today, earlier this afternoon, in fact, having damn near a pity party for myself, kind of, sort of, thinking about all of the people that I have helped, and not that I need anything from anyone, but all of the people that I've helped, and all the people that ring my phone when they need something, ring my phone when their computer ain't working, ringing my phone when they need to know how to fill out a document, ring my phone when they got to do this and that and they don't know how to do it, or all kinds of craziness. But yet I called just to talk, feeling kind of down with, oh, child, I'm a little bit busy now, PG. I'm going to have to call you back. Okay. Well, I'm still waiting, and hell, they ain't called back yet. It's been weeks and days, whatever. That's fine. So, going forward, I thought, self, only concentrate on the people who, concentrate on you. I'm not saying people have to call me or check in on me every week or whatever, but damn. But you know how to call me when you about to get audited from IRS. You know how to call when you need to know what form you need to attach, what schedule you need to attach to your tax filing so you can get a little bit more money or whatever. You know how to do that. But damn, you just can't call and say, hey, how you doing? I was just thinking about you, what's going on with you? So I decided, you don't call, that's fine. The next time you call and you need something, I'm not available. Because see, everybody cannot pour into your glass or to your cup. They're not worthy of it. Because sometimes people pour substances and things that are not of any value to you. And it's unfortunate that the brother um mind, he let his mind just take him there, and it was truly an embarrassment. But I'm gonna get up off of this subject. That's my take on it. That's how I feel about it. Like I said, I've been pretty damn depressed. Sometimes one thing about depression is if you stick through it and battle enough with it and go to Knuckle City with it and take your medicine like you're supposed to and do what you're supposed to and do your meditations and whatever else that makes you, tick, sooner or later it'll let up off you. Now, that's not saying that tomorrow you won't be able to get out of bed. I don't know. But tomorrow is a brand new day, one I've never seen before. So I'm going to hope and pray that everything will work itself out and be A-OK. Thank you for the people who have tuned in to me this evening. You have been listening to Unapologetic Tea Time with your host, PG. That is me. For all of those who will be tuning in at a later time or a later date or happen to see this, thank you for stopping in and checking out my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon notification so that you will be notified whenever I go live or whenever I put out a podcast or a vlog. Thanks again. You all have a wonderful evening and a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you. Bye now.